My lovely friends, you are in for a treat. I have the master of networking, Chaz Wilson, here today to share with you how you can network your way to a thriving firm. Hi, I'm Emily LaRouche. Are you ready to make the journey from lawyer to entrepreneur? Every week, I'm sitting down with people who have mastered the art of running a business and want to share with you the lessons they've learned along the way. Join me as we experience the highs, the lows, and everything in between as we learn, share, and grow together. Welcome to Share the Love. So, Chaz, you've been a part of other networking organizations and you were in them, they were working well, but you saw an opportunity to do it better. How did that work?
Well, really, it came about because I was running a couple of real estate franchise offices, and my business partner and I, we got together one day and just kind of said, the one thing we were not really loving about the networking organization we're in is that we wanted to be more relational first. See, business comes once relationships are built. When everything's just focused on the transaction, then the relationships are very shallow and there's no depth to them. And so what we wanted to do was build something that was deep in relationships and then enhanced with business education. And so we first just started with our own networking group. He was a chiropractor, I owned the real estate offices, and we just wanted to grow our own businesses. But what we didn't anticipate at the time was how much it would take off. And quickly it grew to a second chapter, a third, and now we're in 20 states,
Wow.
7 years. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's phenomenal. I actually was in a networking group myself, and being new to business, I was kind of hoping that it would give me a little bit more business education. It did teach me how to be a great networker, but I didn't get that business education, and that's an element that I think that you do really well, is you want to help people learn how to run their businesses better.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, you think about one of the things that happens is when you refer somebody, which is the nature of networking, when you refer someone, you're hoping that they're a true professional. They're going to, take that referral, service them well, say thank you, do all the things that you're expecting. But the reality is that, and your name's behind it, right? So you're hoping that that's what happens. But the reality is that that doesn't always happen. And so quickly, when we built our networking group, we said we need business education. We've got to educate businesses because we had some people join who were brand new in their business. We had some people who were very experienced. And so we quickly organized what we call Master Networks University. It's online. It's a series of business training. In fact, a lot of the business training comes from a book that I wrote called 5+1, The Entrepreneur's Formula for Success. And I travel the country teaching workshops on that. So what we did is we put those online so that our members could really, whether it's late at night, some have kids, put their kids to bed, they can plug in and get business training. And then we also put that into each chapter meeting as well.
The 5+1 book is phenomenal. I love to give it away as a gift. So if you'd like the 5+1 book, I'll give it away to 5 people. Whoever emails first, go ahead and email me, Emily@backofficebetties.com, and put 5+1 in the subject line. And I'm going to give away 5 books to the first 5 responders because it's such a good book. If you don't win it, buy it anyways. It's a phenomenal book.
Yeah, thank you, Emily. It was a labor of love because I wanted to help business owners. I own over 30 companies, and one of the things that I realized was there's a formula to how I start and launch a company and how I get it profitable and successful. And it sort of just made sense to me in my own head, and I started writing those things down in the order because I think you can do the right things but do them in the wrong order and still go out of business. And so there's an order to them, and so I put it in the order, and that's how I created that book.
Yeah. I see a lot of solopreneurs, like your contractors, your one-man shops, and it's so overwhelming. I know it's overwhelming because starting a business has been the hardest thing I've ever done. But it doesn't have to be impossible. The 5+1 makes it really simple. These are the steps you take, and anybody can do it.
Yeah, and you don't have to do it alone. That to me is the key. No one built anything great by themselves, and so you can't build in isolation. So if you're watching this and you work in an office by yourself, you got to get out and make connections and build. I always say you're one relationship away from changing your future. There's marketing tactics and there's things you can do, but really, if I look at everything I have in my life that's of any significance, it's come from a relationship. My 5 children came from my significant other, right? My wife. And so my businesses have come from business partners. It's not the coolest new ad I have, it's the relationships that I have. And so if you're building in isolation, I would encourage you to get out and get involved in networking organizations to help build, and who knows what will happen when you come across those relationships.
Absolutely. And I know personally, when I started the business, it was really overwhelming and it was really scary. And I kind of felt all alone. So getting out there and networking and talking to other business owners, and you'll find out it doesn't matter what industry you're in. That's the biggest takeaway for me was that it didn't matter if I'm an answering service and you're a plumber. Business is business, and they should all be run very similarly.
Well, the reality is we're all in the same business. To your point, right? It's in finding new leads. It's finding new business. That is the business we're in. Now, we have a different product or service, each of us probably, but the reality is we're in the business of finding business. And when we can master that skill of building relationships and finding new business, the reality is you can do anything. When you know how to do that, in fact, I'm speaking to 6th through 8th graders on Friday. That's the most nervous audience that I've ever been around. I'm so nervous. 6th to 8th graders for career day, and they asked me to come in. And one of the things I want them to know is that is you build these relationships, and if you can learn to sell and get out and make connections, you can do whatever you want. So don't build in isolation. That's the point.
Yeah, I met someone the other day and he said, I don't like that networking. It's like going on a bunch of blind dates and they never go anywhere. And I'm saying, if that's your opinion of it, you're doing it wrong.
Right.
So what are some of the things that we should be doing? Because it should be about creating a genuine relationship.
So there are those bad date networking experiences. I think we've all had them. Right? There's usually the guy that runs around and he's handing out his card to everybody. Just it's like, how much volume of business cards can I just spread? Like, and they say, call me on the back. It's like, no, I'm not going to call you. I have no reason. But I'll just quickly tell you, I mean, one of the things that sparked what we teach is called the bond method. We actually have a method to how we network and build these relationships, but it came really from one of those bad experiences. I had a young man who was a banker, and here's the thing: his boss, his manager, was telling him, look, you got to get out and network. Well, he didn't know what that meant. So he thought it meant go play golf. He thought it meant just take people to lunch. So he kept calling my office and my assistants, you just go to lunch with this guy. So he would quit calling me. He had tenacity. He just kept it up. So we go to this restaurant. We walk in the door, and from the moment we crossed the threshold, he did not stop talking. And he talked about cars. And the reality is I don't have much interest in cars, but he wouldn't know that because he didn't ask me a question. He just kept talking about cars. And so much so that we were eating and there was a bottle of hot sauce in the middle of the table. And when he set it down, it went towards me and sprayed all over my new suit. The kid did not skip a beat. He didn't hand me a napkin. He just
What?
So talk about the bad date, right? And then he said, as we got up to leave, he said those magic words. We should do it again sometime. And I'm like, no, I want to get back to my office and get away from this as fast as I can. But when I went back, I pulled my team together and kind of stood in front of the whiteboard and I said, we have a method to how we do this, but we have never sort of written it down. So we started to write it down. And that's where we really formalized what we call the bond method. And really quickly, Emily, this is what the bond method is. And you can use this with anyone. It's called first B. It's an acronym. So B is build on a common interest. So whatever it is, build off of that, right? You could never have met, you're at an event together. Hey, what do you think of the event? You just build off that. It's that broad. The second is occupation exploration, meaning tell me about your business. How'd you get involved? Why do you do this? Then the N is needs discovery. What do you need? What are you looking for? What do you see coming up in the future? Those kinds of things. And then the D is develop an opportunity. Because yes, ultimately at the end, the goal is to develop opportunities through networking, but you don't come out right away and throw the right hook because they'll see it coming. You've got to build off that. So that's how we created the bond method, and that helps us avoid those bad dating experiences in networking. I mean, even these speed networking things, I think they're just shallow, and maybe it starts the build on a common interest. But if I went to an event and there was 300 people, I'm not going to talk to 300 people. I would feel very like it was a huge success if I spent time with 3 people, went really deep and got to know them. And that's where the magic happens.
Absolutely. And that's one of my rules for networking is I do go every once in a while I'll go to an event and my rule is, to meet 1 or 2 people and have a good discussion with them, something that's engaging. And if I can do that, then that's been a successful event. It's not about closing sales.
Right. Those will come for sure. if you're building and they're ready to, they're wanting to buy. But I think too often, just as an example, I was just at one the other day and a guy came up to me. He sells life insurance. I mean, I don't even know if he knew my name. I mean, he kind of, we had just a quick introduction. Then he hands me his card and says, "Do you have life insurance?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm very well set." He goes, "Well, I'd love the shot to earn your business. So when could be a time I could come review your policies, and I bet I could save you some money?" And I said to him, "Can I give you some feedback?" He said, "Sure." I said, "I would expect you could save me money if I was to switch with you." I said, "But why? You need to make it about me, not about you. Like, the offer was about you. See if you could, how's it benefiting me?" And so, I passed, but we got to build relationships and the business will come.
So bond first, sell later.
Yeah, that's it.
Can you share a couple of other tips that you have for someone who's new to business? They need to grow their network. Our audience is mainly law firms, so we're talking about the new lawyer who might have worked in a corporate setting before, but they're going off for the first time on their own. How do they go out and make their brand known?
Yeah, that goes back to what we said a little bit before, but just a couple of points. One is, again, you've got to get out and network and really build relationships. There will be the one relationship that can change everything, that will put you in a path of multiple business. I mean, for me, that happened for me. I reached out to, and this is really my second point, is everyone needs a mentor or a coach, in my opinion. That's been one of the biggest assets to me in my success, is always having phenomenal mentors and coaches, people that maybe when I reached out to them, I thought, man, they're at a different level, and that's the whole point. But that's why you've got to get out and build your brand. But you've got to have a mentor or a coach that can hold you accountable, that can push you, that can challenge you and move you towards. And so I would find somebody. In fact, the truth of it is, I don't know that they have to be in your industry, because they're like, I consult a lot of people, chiropractors. I consulted a makeup store. I mean, I don't know anything about makeup, but I know business and I know the processes that need to happen, and we're very successful in helping them. But I would look out maybe even outside your industry at times. Everyone, I believe, needs a mentor and a coach. Professionals have coaches. And so it's been one of the best assets for me, is to find somebody that, and here's the qualifier, they need to be qualified. And I always say they either are where you want to be or have been where you want to be, and that's the qualifier. So I would say get out and network, find a coach or a mentor, and then, from a time standpoint, one of the things I teach is what I'm doing now an income producing activity? I don't necessarily believe in if you build it, they will come, that great line from, what was the movie?
Field of Dreams.
Yeah, I don't believe that in business. I think you can build a phenomenal location, practice, whatever, and then you have no clients, you're out of business.
It's more like if you build it and you tell the world about it, then they might come.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it, right? And then you got to sell it, right? But the whole point is get out, look at your calendar, and look at being productive, not just busy, and get out and meet new people. So those are just a couple tips.
Awesome. For me personally, I'm very introverted and very shy, and so kind of weird for someone who's doing a podcast, I know. But networking has been horrifying. It was the scariest thing I did, and personally, it's created so much growth for me, so it's been really rewarding.
That's the magic of networking, is it actually works for introverts and extroverts. Because in reality, the extroverts are usually the ones running around talking to everybody and not really getting deep. And the introverts will find that one person they connect with, and then they go deep, and lots of business happens.
Yeah. We have a saying in my family that everyone is 3 degrees of separation from Gary Reese. So you want to talk about a master networker. Gary's my uncle, and he's lives in the same neighborhood as Chaz, so he's connected us. So, I mean, networking brought me together with the fabulous founder of Master Network. So,
yeah, there you go. One relationship away from changing your future. It changed ours and connected us.
And it's been awesome. Chaz has more knowledge bombs than he can drop in one day, so we're going to tune in next week for another episode with Master Networker Chaz Wilson. To find out more about Master Networks and Chaz Wilson, click on the links below to connect and tune in next week. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Share the Love. Make sure to give us a thumbs up, share, and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and Google Play to get the latest content.